Welcome, everybody, to Tokens of Wisdom. I'm your host, Dave Rothschild. And before we dive into the episode, please listen to my disclaimer at the end of the show. Nothing I say here is legal, investment, or tax advice. You know, as long as I've worked in crypto, the industry has been plagued by regulatory uncertainty. That is, apparently, until the last couple months. All of a sudden, I'm seeing clients putting stuff like regulatory clarity achieved in their marketing decks and celebrating the demise of the dreaded era of regulatory uncertainty. Now, don't get me wrong, I share your excitement about the direction things are going. I just don't want us to prematurely celebrate. There's nothing worse than starting your touchdown celebration on the 10-yard line and then fumbling the ball before you actually get into the end zone. So let's not do that. Actually, I have an analogy even better than football to illustrate this. You see, I use the word plagued in my first sentence here intentionally. The industry is plagued by regulatory uncertainty. The reason I use that intentionally is because regulatory uncertainty has been attacking crypto in recent years, much like the zombies attack humanity in your favorite gory novel. Let me explain. This brand of regulatory uncertainty is mindless. There's no guiding principle, no rational thought behind it. It just wants to kill and eat, or, sue and put out of business, you and everybody you love. It's non-communicative. You can spend years begging it to engage with you, to talk it out, to come up with rational solutions to real industry problems. Its only response will be to kill and eat. It's indiscriminating. Everything's a security and nothing can comply with securities laws, so it's all illegal. It devours everything in its path. Nothing is safe from its rippling jaws. Not even Ripple. By the middle of 2024, we had reached the stage of the zombie novel where the remaining survivors, i.e. crypto industry participants in the United States, were hiding in a locked barn, huddled together for warmth, losing hope for a future and staying silent lest the undead hordes outside hear them and start ripping through the barn walls. The prospects were dim. It seemed that the end really was nigh. And then, just as the first undead claw started ripping through that barn wall, the survivors heard a helicopter blade whirring above their heads. Could salvation finally be here? Can they climb up to it before the zombies crash through and get them? You see, there's a blown out skylight in the roof of this barn, and it just so happens that there is a ladder perched right there leading to that skylight. The survivors could climb up that ladder, climb out that skylight and into the waiting helicopter above, only to be flown off to safety, never to see a zombie again, or so they hope. Now, somewhat oddly, the survivors note, the ladder only has 3 rungs, and they're spaced quite far apart, so to get from one rung up to the next, it's going to take more work than your average ladder requires. But if they can do the work, if they can pull themselves all the way up to the top of that ladder, they'll be safe. Of course, as you must know by now because of the lucidity of this brilliant analogy, the helicopter blade was the 2024 election, where pro-crypto candidates were swept into office up and down the ballot. It was coming to save the industry from certain death by regulatory uncertainty, or zombies. So what does the 3-rung ladder represent in this analogy? Well, regulation, of course. Granted, it took me a while to get here, but the whole point of this meandering and unnecessary tale is to articulate that regulation in the crypto world comes in 3 levels. And they go something like this. The bottom level is the easiest to reach, but it offers the least protection. I'm talking here about informal SEC guidance, enforcement priorities, non-binding statements, the tone of its public communications. In short, you could call this the vibes rung of the regulatory ladder. You can get there really quickly. It's only a couple inches off the ground, in fact. It's the first rung on the ladder, for heaven's sake. And once you get there, it feels all warm and fuzzy. You feel like you're making progress. You're finally on the ladder. But that warm fuzziness could be an illusion. At that rung, you're really only safe from the infant zombies, maybe the really young toddlers. Any zombies older than that are going to be tall enough to reach your exposed flesh and pull you down and tear you to pieces. That bottom rung is where we are today in crypto. A new administration took charge, the SEC dropped enforcement actions and lawsuits, it repealed SAB 121, it dropped the dreaded proposed safeguarding rule, it's opened its door to the crypto industry and held a series of roundtables. It's sounding all the right notes. It's signaling that a new dawn is upon us. But the next administration could come in and be hostile to crypto again. It could undo all of these great vibes, all the good work we've seen over the last few months with the snap of its fingers, just like this SEC has so quickly undone so much of the damage done in the prior era. Unless we can climb up to the next rung of the ladder. Now, the next rung up is a lot safer. Here, I'm talking about formal SEC rulemaking that goes through the notice and comment process and results in broadly applicable rules the industry can learn and follow. It takes longer to climb up to that second level, but once you're there, you can actually take a beat and rest. Honestly, it would take like Shaq or Yao Ming's zombified corpse to reach you once you're that high up there. And if one of those happens to lumber through your barn, better luck next time. Now, sure, formal SEC rules can be undone by successive administrations, but that's a process that takes time. Once we get to that second rung up the ladder, there's no snapping your fingers and going back willy-nilly to the way things used to be. We haven't reached that second rung yet. I'm hoping that's where we're headed in the medium term, but nobody really knows. Well, maybe not nobody. I'm sure there are some people who know. But it's not me, and it's likely not you either. Maybe one day soon, I'll bring a guest into the Tokens of Wisdom studio who could explain to us where we are in the process of moving from that bottom rung to the second. But for now, we're still on that bottom rung, still in danger. Now, of course, the highest and safest rung is the very top one. And that represents, obviously, new legislation that creates clear rules around crypto. When is it a security? When is it not a security? Who regulates it? Etc. Once you hit this rung, you'll be feeling so safe that you can pause to taunt the hungry zombies below. None of them can reach you now. Sure, Congress could reverse itself, but come on, Congress? Really? This is a ways off. I'm still hopeful it's going to happen, but I don't see it on the medium-term horizon. Maybe a stablecoin bill will actually get passed in the near future, but that's low-hanging fruit. That's not nearly as difficult as the market structure bill that hopefully will follow one day. And so there you have it. The vibes have shifted and things feel good, but no, we have not yet reached regulatory clarity. We're still on the bottom rung of the ladder, and we've got a lot of climbing left to do. Yes, we can hear the choppers circling overhead. It's promising salvation, but we have to figure out how to harness all this energy we've spent pulling ourselves onto the ladder to learn how to propel us even higher up that ladder. And that's a topic I look forward to exploring with my next very distinguished guest. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon. Well, now that all that boring stuff's out of the way, it's time for the part you've all been waiting for. The legal disclaimer. In this show, I describe laws and regulations from a 10,000-foot view. And while this should be obvious to most, I need to say it nonetheless. This show is for informational purposes only. And nothing I say here constitutes legal, investment, or tax advice. If you're thinking about starting a fund or you're curious about your options, this show is a good resource. But if you're going to pull the trigger and launch a fund, please engage an attorney to assist you. Thanks for listening to Tokens of Wisdom with Dave Rothschild. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, follow, and subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts.